السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الله به الغمة وجاهد في الله حق الجهاد حتى أتاه اليقين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه والتابعين ومن سار على دربهم واهتدى بهديهم واقتفى أثرهم إلى يوم الدين. أوصيكم عباد الله ونفسي الخطاءة بتقوى الله وأحثكم على طاعته وأستفتح بالذي هو خير. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. O you who believe, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the right way He ought to be feared, and do not die except as Muslims. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. O you who believe, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and speak the truth. If you do that, Allah shall rectify and amend your affairs and forgive your sins. And whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger, verily he has achieved a great victory and success. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله سبحانه وتعالى وخير الهدي هدي نبينا محمد بن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Verily, the best of the speech is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the best of the guidance is that of His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the most evil of the matters are the novelties, for every novelty is misguidance, and every misguidance is in hellfire. My beloved brothers and respected sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said at the beginning of Surah Yusuf, نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن وَإِن كُنْتَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ لَمِنَ الْغَافِلِينَ. Translation of the meaning of this ayah: we tell you, Ya Muhammad, the best of the stories. And al-qasas is not really story. See, when we translate it into qasas as a story. But it's beyond the story. It's the tracing of the previous nations' matters and affairs. Because it comes from the root verb qassa. Qassa means tracing. If you're looking for something, you trace back to it so that you can get to the roots of it and get the lessons learned out of it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أحسن القصص. We tell you, Ya Muhammad, the best of the qasas. With us revealing to you, Ya Muhammad, this Quran. And before it, you did not know about these stories. One of these stories, which is the main story of the whole surah, is the story of Sayyidina Yusuf. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the beginning to the end of the surah, was talking about Sayyidina Yusuf. In it, he was sentenced to go to prison. He was sentenced to go to jail. فَلَبِثَ فِي السِّجْنِ بِضْعَ سِنِينَ. He stayed in the prison between 3 and 9 years. Several years. Bid'a is from 3 to 9. So he stayed for several years. As soon as he entered the prison, وَدَخَلَ مَعَهُ السِّجْنَ فَتَيَانِ. 2 people, 2 inmates entered prison with him. And they started telling him about what they have seen in their dreams. Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam, ala nabina wa alayhi salatu wassalam, seized the opportunity. وهون مربط الفرس. This is the point that I'm trying to get to. He seized the opportunity and started calling them into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He started calling them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how it started. He seized that opportunity. He's not going to get it every time. As soon as the opportunity came to him, he seized the opportunity. And it might be a little bit different subject, not related to it exactly, but the point that I'm trying to get to is seizing the opportunity. If we go back, not many of us are fans of the World Cup. Correct. I'm not a big fan of it either, except that I cheer for the Muslim leagues. So, in that World Cup that happened, you see, it is just meant to be a play around a ball that has air inside it. That's it, right? That's it. No, it's not exactly like that. It is when the civilizations come and each one of them wants to enforce its civilization on others. That's what we have witnessed in the World Cup. That's what we really witnessed. It's an empty ball, correct. But it wasn't about the ball. It was something much bigger than the ball. The ball was the means to pass agendas. That's what it is. That's what it was about. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not, that's exactly what it was about. And for those of you who were watching it, you have seen that. And for those of you who were there, you experienced that firsthand. So we can learn some of the things that we can get from that World Cup. And I'm not here to stand and tell you that this team won and this team lost. And I'm going to analyze the game. No, I'm not going to talk about that. But there are a few things that we can get out of that World Cup. One of the things that amazed me when I looked at it is how the Muslims were united. Despite of all of the division that is being shoved into our throats, the Muslims were still united. The Muslims who loved Argentina, when Argentina was playing against Saudi Arabia, they cheered for Saudi Arabia. And they were upset and sad that in the first time, of course, Saudi won, but when they got out, they were sad. The Muslims were cheering for Tunisia when it beat France. And they were sad when Tunisia was out. The Muslims were very happy cheering for Morocco when it won against Portugal as well as Spain. But they were sad when they lost against France. What does that tell you? You can try to divide. The Muslims' hearts are still connected together. The Muslims' hearts are still connected together. And they love and care for one another. And that's what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in the authentic hadith. مَثَلُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ فِي تَوَادِّهِمْ وَتَرَاحُمِهِمْ وَتَعَاطُفِهِمْ كَمَثَلِ الْجَسَدِ إِذَا اشْتَكَى مِنْهُ عُضْوٌ تَدَاعَى لَهُ سَائِرُ الْجَسَدِ بِالسَّهَرِ وَالْحُمَّةِ. The example of the believers in their coming together and their mercy towards one another and their caring for one another is like the one body. When one limb of it is ailing, the rest of the body will be awake and alert, trying to help it recover. That's one lesson. The second lesson, and I'm sure every single one of you who watched a single match have seen that in there. Palestine is in the hearts. Palestine is in the hearts. You see, we can normalize the relationships, quote unquote, but Palestine will always be at the heart. And it has to be. Because Palestine is not about a land that is bounded by the Jordan River in the east and the Mediterranean in the west and all of that. It's not. Palestine is aqeedah. It's creed. Palestine is aqeedah. And that's why it was always in the minds and the hearts of every single fan who was there. And it stopped being the World Cup. It started being Palestine Cup. Palestine Cup. بامتياز. Hands down. So no matter how we try to extract the aqeedah out of the hearts of the people, it will stay there, inshallah. It is a light, and it will, inshallah, stay there. We just need to give it more power, and it will become a shining light. The third lesson is hypocrisy. Has so many cloaks and so many rainbow colors. Hypocrisy has so many cloaks and rainbow colors. And it baffled me how someone was angry, a so-called Muslim was angry that drinking liquor got banned in the stadiums. And he said this is a crime. A crime, that banning alcohol in the stadium, that's a crime. Wallahi, he should go and check if he's still a Muslim or not. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who banned al-khamr anywhere. Anywhere. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, no matter how much people try to plot, فَأَمَّا الزَّبَدُ فَيَذْهَبُ جُفَاءً وَأَمَّا مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسَ فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. As for the foam that is on top of the surface of the water, has no value. فَيَذْهَبُ جُفَاءً. People ignore it. No one wants to buy it. It can be as wide as your eyes can see. It can be as heavy as you can think. No one wants to buy it, not even for a penny. But what benefits people stays in the ground. Another lesson that we learned from the World Cup: stick onto your principles. You are on the haqq, and you need to believe and know and live that you are on the haqq. If they try to portray it as a crime, you don't have to listen to it. You need to adhere to the book of Allah and the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you know that you're following it strictly, you are on the haqq. They will try to persuade you that you're not on the haqq. أخرجوا آل لوط من قريتكم إنهم أناس يتطهرون. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran about the people of Sayyidina Lut. They said, kick them out of your land. They are people who try to purify themselves. Stick to your principles. See, someone wants to believe in something, that's them. But to force it on me, no. You can't come to my house and force your own principles on me. I'm the host, you're the guest. You abide by my rules. I tell you sit there, you sit there. You're not going to go and sit over there. You're not going to go and do something in the kitchen. You're not going to go upstairs. It's my house. It's my rules. And you know what? These rules and these rights is here in the heart, is here in the mind. Don't let anyone take it out of you. Another lesson that we need to learn from the World Cup. Be fair. Be fair. Do not let hatred or disagreement make you unfair. Don't do that, please. Don't do that. Example. The World Cup. Someone came with a video clip saying, look at these tricks that they have done in the World Cup. Look how they fooled you guys. Look at this mistake, look at that mistake, look at that mistake. I acknowledge this mistake, and that mistake too. Yes, I acknowledge them. I don't know the intention of the people. But billahi, can't we acknowledge that it was the largest da'wah event to be held in years and years? Can't we acknowledge that one? We need to acknowledge it. The da'wah was not in just giving pamphlets and brochures and talking about Islam. The da'wah was manifested in people's conduct. The da'wah was manifested that says, by the way, khamra is haram in Islam, and that's why we're banning it in the stadiums. And I'm not here agreeing or disagreeing. I'm not here to that point. Women can go and watch the games and walk in the streets late at night. No one is going to harass them. Nothing's going to happen whatsoever. The generosity of the people, that shows who truly Muslims are. They're not those savage people who carry the sword and they just want to shed blood. That is not what it is. That was manifested there. Be fair. Acknowledge that this has happened over there. And it did not happen any other place. In fact, in some places where people are supposed to be adhering to the book of Allah and the sunnah of Rasulullah, are displaying videos, movies of all kinds of filth. All kinds of filth. Next to the most sacred places in Islam. Be fair. You want to criticize? Go ahead and criticize over there. But you need to acknowledge the khayr that has happened over there. That has to be acknowledged. Another lesson that we can find over there, the da'wah, how many hundreds, if not even thousands of people accepted Islam. How was the adhan raised? How did the Muslims, how did the whole world see in the stadium that they can hold Salatul Jummah? Time for Salatul Jummah, we're going to hold Salatul Jummah in the stadium. Acknowledge that one. Thank Allah for giving us that opportunity. The next lesson that we learn, fahisha is spreading. Evil is spreading. It is spreading. Do not be a caller to the fahisha. Do not be a caller to the fahisha, just like that story that I mentioned to you. Was angry because drinking alcohol was banned at the stadiums, saying that this was a crime. Do not be a caller to the fahisha. Rather be a caller to the iffa, to the tahara, the chastity, the cleanliness, the pureness of Islam. Another lesson that we learned from it. Some teams lost, and we were saddened that they lost. Some teams won, and we were happy that they won. Some teams lost, and we were happy that they lost. What is that? If the love and the hatred is not for the deen of Allah, then we have a problem. You're going to say, come on, you're talking about a soccer game. Wala wa bara, soccer game. Ittaqillah. Where's the wala wa bara in it? It is full of wala and bara. It's not about the soccer game, I told you that, right? The event was politicized. The event was about civilizations clashing or trying to empower one, trying to overpower the other one. That's the wala wa bara that I mentioned, that I talk about over here. So make sure the wala and the bara is there. The last lesson that I'm going to mention in this first khutbah is, you will get certain opportunities. Do not waste these opportunities, because you don't know when you're going to get the second opportunity, ever. And that's where I started the khutbah with, the story of Sayyidina Yusuf ala nabina wa alayhi salatu wassalam. He seized every opportunity to call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't know if that chance is going to come to you again or not. It could be in your conduct. It could be in you finding something that was lost, and you called upon the person who dropped it, say, you dropped this. It could be a very simple thing. It could be just the fact that you saw a big rock on the road, and you pulled over and you removed it from the road. It could be something very simple. But that might change the hearts of people around you. Seize that opportunity. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. The World Cup was towards the end of the year. Towards the end of the year, today is the last Friday of the year, of the Gregorian year. And that's why I have some few messages about this one. And tomorrow is the 31st. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ 31st, what it is. What do you know about 31st? 31st is when the parties start happening. 31st is, for some people, drinking starts happening. 31st is when people start attending parties. 31st is when people start saying Happy New Year. Happy? Happy? على جراحات الأمة. فرحين على جراحات الأمة بالله. We're happy for the wounds that the Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is having right now. Happy New Year. Wishing for a Happy New Year. Okay. So if you want to wish for a Happy New Year, start off the New Year with something good. Today, Salatul Fajr, in Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, that's how our brothers and sisters in Palestine ended their year. Massive number of worshippers, of Muslims, attending Salatul Fajr in Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. That's how they ended the year. How are we going to end our year? How are we going to end our year? In fact, for most of us, for many of us, at least let's put it that way, Saturday, Sunday, Monday will be off. أين نحن من صلاة الفجر? Where are we from Salatul Fajr? Our brothers and sisters in Palestine, with all of the roadblocks that they have, all of them, they made it their business to attend Salatul Fajr. You know, one of our old mothers walked, and I saw it with my own eyes with the interview with her, from Nablus to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa to pray. Nablus to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa to pray on foot with a friend of hers. إن العقيدة في قلوب رجالها من ذرة أقوى وألف مهند. When the aqidah is in the hearts of the people, it is stronger than 1,000 swords. But you need to believe in it. It's not a lip service. It's not words that I repeat. And I don't know the meaning of them and I cannot live them in my life. They lived it. And that's what we need to do. Thousands upon thousands of people marching so that they can pray Salatul Fajr in Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. No specific significance for the 30th day of December 2022, except that it was a Friday. And the only prayer that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stressed upon, and this is something that I'm going to give you, maybe many of us don't know about it. The prayer that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stressed upon it a lot to pray it in Jama'ah is Salatul Fajr, Yawmul Jumu'ah. Salatul Fajr, Yawmul Jumu'ah. Now, Salatul Jumu'ah, granted, we're not going to talk about it. It's known, it's a must, period. But the one that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stressed upon heavily was Salatul Fajr fi Yawm al-Jumu'ah. Several ahadith talk about that one. لا يتسع المقام لذكرها. We're not going to mention them right now. But the hadith clearly stated that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stressed upon Salatul Jumu'ah. So with that in mind, please do not end this year with disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. End it with obeying Allah. End it with obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And make sure you do it right. And one thing that I would like you to remember is, today is not the 30th of the 12th month. Today is the 7th of the 6th month of Al-Hijrah. Today is 6 Jumada Thani, 1444. Remember your history. Know your calendar. That is our calendar. Finally, I would like to conclude with this. I don't know much about it. I'm not 100% sure about it. But maybe I wasn't supposed to give the khutbah today. I was supposed to give it next week. Brother Abu Idris was supposed to give it today. Maybe, I don't know. I may have mixed them both. I apologize for that one. But subhanAllah, so many things that I have forgotten over the past couple of days, up to the point that I have been coming and going to Chicago a lot throughout my life. And I even took the northbound instead of going southbound, and I drove for half an hour yesterday. Subhanallah, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So, if that is the case, I apologize, Brother Abu Idris. And inshallah, you'll be able to give it, inshallah, this coming Friday. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت وسلمت وباركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين وأعل بفضلك وكرمك كلمة الحق والدين اللهم انصر من نصر الدين واجعلنا منهم يا رب العالمين اللهم اخذل من خذل المسلمين ونعوذ بك أن نكون منهم يا رب العالمين اللهم من أرادنا أو أراد الإسلام والمسلمين في هذه المدينة أو في هذه البلاد أو في أي مكان بسوء فأشغله بنفسه واجعل تدبيره تدميره، واجعل كيده في نحره يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم اغفر لنا هزلنا وجدنا وخطأنا وعمدنا وكل ذلك عندنا. اللهم لا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا، ولا تجعل يا إلهي إلى النار مصيرنا. اللهم لا تدع لنا في مقامنا هذا، في يومنا هذا، في ساعتنا هذه ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا دينا إلا قضيته، ولا عيبا إلا سترته، ولا مريضا إلا شفيته وعافيته، ولا ميتا إلا رحمته، ولا ضالا إلا هديته، ولا غائبا إلا إلى أهله سالما رددته، ولا مريضا إلا شفيته وعافيته، ولا أسيرا إلا فككت أسره، ولا شهيدا إلا قبلته، ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة لك فيها رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا يسرتها لنا وأعنتنا على قضائها يا رب العالمين. اللهم ارحمنا فإنك بنا راحم، ولا تعذبنا فإنك علينا قادر، والطف بنا فيما جرت به المقادير. اللهم اجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا وجلاء همومنا وذهاب أحزاننا وغمومنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجمعنا على لا إله إلا الله، ولا تفرقنا إلا ونحن متحدون على لا إله إلا الله، لا تفرقنا إلا إلى القبور يا رب العالمين. اللهم وحد قلوبنا يا رب العالمين على توحيدك وكتابك وسنة نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم يا رب العالمين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم، واشكروه يزدكم، واسألوه من فضله يعطكم، واستغفروه يغفر لكم، واستغفروه يغفر لكم، واستغفروه يغفر لكم. وأنت يا بني أقم الصلاة.